Bill Wilson, Wilson Combat. Here again, visiting with my old buddy Ken Hackathorn, and we'd like to talk about holsters and holster selection. Ken, we've got the four basic holster types out here on the table. I think we both agree virtually every holster on the market is some derivative of one of these basic designs. Basically designs. Let's start off with inside the waistband. This is a Milt Sparks, very concealable inside the waistband holster. Give me your take on the inside the waistband design.
Well, the inside the waistband holster, from a concealment standpoint, is probably the optimum. It really pulls the gun in close to the body. If you want to hide the gun, inside the waistband is probably one of your best picks. And now, there's a big trend in our society. Everybody wants to carry their guns appendix, or even worse, I call it, gun pointed at their junk. Mm-hmm. And that's all based around inside the pants holster design in order to conceal. When you wear a loose garment, and basically what you do is when you want to draw the gun, you grab the garment, lift it, pull the pistol. It's a very fast presentation. The trouble with this is, concealable as it is comfort. Mm-hmm. And sadly, back in my flat-bellied stallion days, you kind of remember those, I could wear concealed inside the waist. And I did. I carried in a Milt Sparks Summer Special was my everyday holster. As I got older and my waistline expanded, I found this less and less comfortable. So while it's great, I have kind of gravitated away from it because the comfort issue has limited its utility for me now.
Okay, we've got here what's called the Bruce Nelson design. And basically, I get it's similar to was Askins Avenger. I think that's probably a copy of that.
Interesting side note: Bruce Nelson designed his holster, a back loop, but with on the weld a loop, which helped pull the butt in. By the way, it was designed as a cross draw holster. Most people don't know that.
Actually, I didn't know that.
No, exactly. It was designed as a cross draw. It was called originally the Bruce Nelson cross draw. At the Columbia conference where IPSC started, Bruce was one of the participants who was involved in it, and Rich Nichols, one of the guys who worked for Bianchi, was there as an observer. And basically he looked at a lot of different holsters being used, and within, I'd say maybe a year or so, they introduced a holster called the Askins Avenger, which is basically this holster but with a more FBI tilt. And Rich even told me, he said, look, we couldn't sell it as the Bruce Nelson. Nobody knew who Bruce Nelson is. We wanted somebody whose name in the firearms world was recognized, and obviously Charlie Askins was a recognized guy, so they named it the Askins Avenger, even though he had absolutely nothing to do with it. And to this day, it's often called the Askins Patter holster, which in reality it's a Bruce Nelson. It was made to be cross-draw, because when you wear a cross-draw, the trouble with cross-draw is the butt's thrown out. Just pulled it in for concealment purposes. It later became real palpable, and most people wore it on the strong side.
Yeah, right at the point of the hip, right?
Yeah, basically worn right here at basically you would be what we call the 3 o'clock position. The drawback to the holster is, one, by this design, if you look, the belt is actually going to be below the trigger guard. So if you are short-waisted, it puts the gun so high. To draw it, you've got to come up a long way. But it's very secure and very rugged. If you want to make sure your gun, you're not going to lose it. Generally, when you put it on the belt and tighten up, it really tensions it up. So it's got good utility. May not be the fastest, easiest draw for a lot of people, particularly from the strong side.
Yeah. Also, it's comes up pretty high on the front of the gun. So not only is it setting high on your belt, but you have to draw the gun pretty high to clear the front of the holster when you make your draw. I mean, of the 4 holsters we have laid out here, this holster works the worst for me of the 4 of the. If I had to pick a daily carry holster of the 4 choices, this would be number 4 for me, because I've tried this holster and it's just not compatible for my build and my needs. Right here we've got what's typically referred to as a pouch holster, and this is pretty much a range holster. You can make them out of thinner leather and thin the construction of it up a little bit. And for larger torso people like yourself or my buddy Greg, I'm talking about tall and
Oh,
all that. You
I
know,
thought larger torso. I was thinking.
no, for
You're right.
somebody that's 6 foot plus and stuff like that. When this holster is made out of thinner leather, it actually is an okay daily carry holster. Which will double as your range holster. Um, it's very fast. I mean, this is for your draw speed of the 4 choices. This particular
It's
design
probably the fastest of all.
will be the fastest design of
And
all of them.
notice it's low cut, so you got a little bit more
Low
quicker
cut.
muzzle clearance.
There's similar holsters to this made in Kydex now, and they're extremely quick.
Very
And they're pretty much, range holster only. I think some of those, but so that's your third choice there, and like I say, it's available in lots of different designs of holster with both leather and Kydex that are made on this basic pattern.
Yeah, this is a Milt Sparks #1 AT. AT means adjustable tension. Our old buddy Ross Seyfried used one of these back in the IPSC days, became the world champion, made it pretty famous. But again, probably if you want to carry a gun for concealment purposes, it may not be your best pick. Simply because it's double thickness of leather, it's fairly bulk. Unless you're a really big guy, it's probably not going to be an easy holster to conceal.
Yeah.
Which brings us to this next one. And I know it's kind of your personal favorite, Bill. Tell us why you like what we'll call the Pancake style holster.
Yeah, any of the holsters that are made basically with 2 pieces of leather laminated together that follow the curve of your body, they all are a derivative of the old Roy Baker Pancake. Roy,
Arkansas,
Magnolia, Arkansas. Yeah. He came out with this, and that holster instantly became the #1 holster for law enforcement, off duty, and plainclothes. I mean, that's what all the law enforcement at that time seemed like they gravitated to, often with a thumb brake.
Yeah.
But basically, this is what's referred to as a pancake style holster. And the advantages of it is once you put your belt through the 2 belt loops on here and get it positioned on your body, it pulls it right into your body and keeps the gun very, very close to your body. The holster's flat. For an outside the waistband holster, it's very, very concealable and very comfortable. That's another thing. I mean, because let's face it, anybody that carries a gun, whether they'll admit it or not, there's a comfort factor involved in their decision on which holster and gun that they carry. I mean, we all want it to be lightning fast on the draw and secure and all that kind of stuff. But if it's not comfortable, you just won't use it. And we both got boxes of holsters that we don't use because they didn't meet our criteria, and mostly because they weren't comfortable.
Right.
So that's the main reason I carry this style, because it's concealable and very comfortable for daily wear, and it's still reasonably fast for a draw. I mean, this is our low profile design, and we also make a low profile 2, and the difference in the 2 of them, the low profile 2 sets, I think it's about a 1/4 inch. The gun sets about a 1/4 inch lower, and has about 5 degrees less cant, and so it's just as concealable, but the draw stroke is much faster. What's your take on it?
Well, I think that of these 4 holsters, the most concealable probably is the inside the pants. But because of some of the issues we talked about, this thing is probably almost as concealable as far as pulling the gun into the body. Certainly a lot more comfortable. Those outboard belt loops are the secret of actually pulling the holster in so it meets the contour. A concealment garment will blend with it beautifully. I would say, now the pouch holster, particularly in what we call Kydex, which has taken over the holster business, is the most common holster we see
on the
range. But I would say for people who carry guns daily, to this day, particularly if they're leather, the Roy Baker Pancake style is probably the king sales-wise.
And probably even Kydex too. I think I see people carrying more Kydex based on this design with the two loops than I do any other style of Kydex.
The people who started the Kydex holster craze built on this was a company called Raven Concealment. And the holster they made was the Phantom. And it's basically the same thing, 2 pieces of Kydex, or actually it's not Kydex anymore, it's a newer modern polymer, but basically riveted together, and then with loops on each outboard, and the same thing, a very good system. by the way, everybody in America copies it. Anywhere you go, there's people are copying the Raven concealment design, and it's nothing more than the Kydex version of the Roy Baker design.
Yeah. Let's talk physical build and the difference between male and female on holster selection. I know we've got a lot of different factors there. I mean, people like you that are 6 foot plus, you got a lot more options than somebody that's 5'2" and a little overweight. I mean, the build has a big effect on
Huge.
which holster that you pick, and especially with women, because most women have a relatively short area from the top of their belt to their armpit, and so obviously they can't carry a holster that they can't draw their arm up high enough to get the gun out of the holster. It's more important for their holsters to set a little bit lower, and often to be kicked out from the body a little bit more because of a hourglass figure, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, as I always point out, women are built different. We are, thank God.
Yeah.
But women typically wear their garments around their natural waist, and men tend to wear garments more around their hips. So the women, if there are any of these holsters on this table around their natural waist, it's a hard draw. Plus, based upon the shape of their hip, a lot of times that holster, instead of being like this on a man's belt, is going to be out like that, which means they have to draw in against their chest or their rib cage. So women have to look at different products than men do. And you're right, it's really pretty much body size that dictates what's going to be work for you. Most women look for a holster, probably it's going to have a little bit more we call drop. It's going to be, the belt loop's going to be have more drop that lowers the gun and puts the butt more out to the side for range work.
Yes.
I find that this style of holster is still very popular in America, what we call the Bruce Nelson cross styles. Still very popular, but I don't see as many people wearing as I used to. Summer spatial pattern, again, this is the original inside the pants design. This is a Milt Sparks later variation, but it's basically it's a Bruce Nelson style holster. In leather, still popular. In Kydex, very popular, but again, generally works with a younger guys, a little bit more streamlined look. We love these, but realistically, for most people, if they're not, really athletic, this may be the best choice. Unfortunately, it may not be the best for women.
Yeah.
And if they have to wear it, they may actually have to wear this take it from the 3 o'clock position and go more around to 4 to 4:30.
That's what my wife Joyce says. Yeah. As you know, Joyce carries 24/7 every day. So and she carries a holster very similar to this, a Pancake style holster, but the one that she's had made, it sets at least an inch or maybe even an inch and a half lower than this one, and like you say, she wears it a little further back.
Yeah, and the other thing to remember is based upon the size of your waistline, the amount of real estate you have available is limited. In other words, this for me, it's not even going to hardly take up much space on because I wear a 36-inch on a good day, 36. And the kicker is, but if you're somebody who only wears, say, a 32-inch waist, you may not have much real estate. This may take up a lot of area. So sometimes you've got to work within those confines. So the old deal that's saying, well, one holster works for everybody is not true. And boy, you X-ringed it. Everybody I know in this business has got boxes of holsters. We keep looking for the perfect holster. And the truth of the matter, there's no perfect holsters, just the one that works for you.
Well, one last thing. A lot of these companies have tried to come up with a universal holster. I mean, there's been a new one on the market just recently. I won't name names, but it's going to fit every gun, and it's going to have all these different back piece assemblies and stuff like that, so you can make it fit tighter, closer to your tighter to your body, further from your body. Change the cant, make it fit every holster, every firearm in the world, and all this kind of stuff. My opinion is what you got there is you got a product that's designed to do everything and doesn't do anything well.
Right.
What's your opinion of that?
Exactly. It's like the old comment, jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah.
Generally, when somebody comes up with a product and said this holster can be used for all these different applications, it generally means it's worthless for any of them.
Yeah.
Sorry, but that's the way it works.
Ken, appreciate visiting with me again.
Take care.